Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, we're talking LeBron at Lonzo Ball's Summer League game. Was King James scouting his future teammate? Plus the latest between Mayweather and McGregor and who won the latest round in their war of words. Finally, free agent running back D'Angelo Williams called Cowboys fans super annoying. You're going to want to hear Skip's reaction to that. It's a packed show today. Skip, Shannon, let's debate. Let's get it started with Lonzo Ball. He had the best game of his young pro career last night in his Summer League win over the Sixers. Lonzo finished with 36 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds. LeBron even showed up to watch Lonzo, and he said, quote, "He can really pass it." Surprisingly, Lonzo wore purple Kobe Nike shoes instead of his normal big baller brand shoes. Ball talked about his shoe choice and said, "At Triple B, you can wear whatever you want. So I already played in both of my shoes. Might as well get that Mamba mentality going. I put them on and it worked out tonight." LeBron posted a video of Lonzo's Nike shoes with the caption, "Just do it."
Ooh.
Skip, what did last night tell you?
Mr. Sharpe, I'm going to reiterate once again, it's just Summer League. That's the one point we do agree upon.
Yes.
Can't get too low over the really bad game that Lonzo played in his debut. And you definitely cannot get too high about what happened last night. But I am here to tell you, last night was significant in the bigger picture because let me say on a personal note, I've had a number of people I know very well contact me over the last, 2 or 3 days and say, you know what? You better back off your Lonzo stance because he just doesn't have that thing. He doesn't have that killer instinct, that dog in him, not enough attack mode, a little too passive, a little too timid. And I did sit right here in this chair after his first 2 Summer League games, and I said, I do want to see more attack mode. So, what happened last night? For once, his father, LeVar Ball, not at the game. Whew.
So that was
not
it.
At the game. And guess what? Magic Johnson, the all-time greatest point guard who drafted Lonzo number 2 overall, was not at the game. So what did Lonzo decide to do before tip-off? He said, you know what? I wore my 2 big baller brand shoes, my Zo2s, I don't know what they're all called, but the 2 models.
Yes.
So I did that for Dad, but tonight, Dad's not here. Maybe tonight I'll be my own man. Maybe I'll grow up just a little bit tonight. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wear purple Kobe's by Nike. Purple Kobe's. Why was that? Because he said, I'm going to go Mamba mentality tonight. So what happens just maybe a couple minutes into the game? Who makes a grand entrance and takes front and center seat courtside? Your man.
King.
Unannounced, unexpected, out of the blue, the King shows up and sits down. And what has happened in the recent past? The King has fired back at LeVar for comments LeVar had made about LeBron and his sons, right?
Yep.
And what has also happened, somebody captured on video, but we got to play it here on Undisputed, LeBron making fun of Lonzo's unorthodox shot, right, before one of his Cleveland Cavalier games. So, did the pressure not mount a little bit? Yeah, he ratcheted up a little bit. Did Lonzo shrink from that pressure? No, he rose and he shone. And I took exception to the fact that in those first 2 Summer League games, he shot a grand total of 0 free throws. 0. Last night, 12 times he went to the free throw line. That's the Lonzo I know and love. Last night, attack mode, Mamba mentality. Again and again, he easily, as he's fully capable of, got into the lane and to the rim at almost 6 feet 7 inches tall. And as we know, he scored 36 points and he had 11 rebounds. 11. I think he's capable of averaging double-digit rebounds in pro basketball. Had only 5 assists last night, but early on, just after LeBron had taken his seat, the pass of the night occurred. Could we see that? Because it was a full-court touchdown pass to a covered Kyle Kuzma. What, this isn't, here we go, here we go. Look at this. Touchdown. Is that not a special pass? That's not that easy to throw. That's full court all the way home, and he's covered. Is it not dropping it down the chimney?
He did.
Huh?
He did.
It was a beautiful pass. I think even LeBron James was impressed with that pass.
You were real happy about the performance.
Because you know what? He's special. I've been saying this. I'm not going to back off my stance. This is once-a-generation passer.
You doubling down on it?
Doubling down on it. I'm going to say it again. At some point pretty soon, you're going to look back and say, Danny Ainge made the biggest mistake of the draft. He should have stayed right at home with the top spot and taken Lonzo Ball with the first overall pick. I think he's still stuck in Boston with a 5'9" shoot-first point guard who's really not a point guard. And Isaiah, love his heart, love his guts, love his big shot-making ability. He's just not a point guard.
No,
Lonzo could have changed your life just the way he will change the Lakers' life. And I know I'm way out on the limb with this, and it's probably all heart over head, but I still just have this far-fetched notion that the Lakers are going to wind up in the 8th overall playoff spot, the last playoff spot in the West, just as LeVar has predicted. I know it looks almost impossible on paper, but I like the spirit and makeup of this team, and this kid is going to change their life.
Can I get the doctor of that LASIK surgeon? Because I can't see that.
You can't see
So
it?
maybe because you got
I see good, man.
I know. So
I see good far away.
Yeah.
I mean, it still shocks me. It works, man.
Well, that Lakers in the 8th spot is real far away. I don't know if you can see that far.
You know what? You're probably right.
So let me ask you this, Skip. So you believe because LeVar and Magic wasn't there, and it relieved some of the pressure off of him of trying to play in front of an all-time great Laker and his boss now, Magic Johnson, and having his father there always trying to impress him and making sure he's doing the right thing.
Yep.
You think that's pressure on him?
I think more father than Magic, because Magic will be the greatest thing that ever happened to Lonzo Ball. But LeVar is just a little overbearing, just a little overwhelming when he's doing halftime interviews of your debut on ESPN. It's just a little much,
It's
man.
for the documentary he got going on Facebook.
So that's it, okay.
I think it was a good day for Lonzo, but I think it was a better day for Nike. Because here's the problem that he's going to have, Skip. Now, the big baller brand is not like you wearing Nikes. He's the face of this. His dad is making the shoe.
I got
You're trying to get other guys to wear the shoe. Now, Skip, I don't know if a lot of people out there know who Tim Cook is. Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple. He says the iPhone is the greatest invention ever created. Now, if Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple and you catch him using a Galaxy Note, you're going to worry like, hold on, wait a minute now. You just told me Apple is the greatest thing. Now, your dad told me that big baller brand shoes are going to take over the industry.
Yep.
And you wear Nike.
Fair enough. I'm with you.
And
it's a statement.
And people are like, well, you know, you see these guys are advertising and doing endorsement for cars. You think they drive that type of car? No, but they didn't make that type of car. It's not like John DeLorean. John DeLorean driving a Ford as opposed to a DeLorean that has his namesake on it is something entirely different. Skip, I'm also not going to make a big deal out of Summer League for the simple fact I didn't get to the bottom when he had, he was 2 for 15 from 3. I didn't go all goo-goo gaga when he had a triple-double in Game 3.
You did not?
I mean, Game 2, and I'm not going to go, he gets 36. Now, I am surprised, Skip, I did not see 36 points because Summer League, some of these guys are going to make the NBA, but a lot of them are not. They're going to be grad assistants and probably working at UPS. Not that there's anything wrong with UPS, but that's not their dream. Their dream is
maybe the G League, or maybe Europe, or maybe Japan, or
the game
China
is the G League. They renamed it again.
Yep.
Skip, I'm surprised. He doesn't strike me as a guy that can go get buckets like that. I see him as a team guy. Now, can he get somewhere in the 20s? Because if you look at it, he only had 6 games of his 36 that he played in college where he scored 20 or more points. His high was 24. Now, all of these guys played college basketball, so he's playing against guys that played college. It's not like he's playing pickup or blacktop basketball somewhere. These guys can play, maybe not to the level that Lonzo can and be in the NBA, but they're quality players.
Okay, but didn't he make a statement? Mamba mentality,
yes.
Purple Kobe's. When I want to, I am capable of that. Again, against whatever the talent is,
see that.
I can score 30.
You believe he can? You believe he?
I do.
I don't see that. He strikes me as a team type of a guy. He can score in the teams consistently. I see him maybe in the mid-20s. But Skip, these point guards that are in the NBA, the Kyrie can go get 50. Harden, Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas, those guys can go get 50.
Yeah.
I don't see his type of a game like that, because the reason why I say that is because he is a let me get you involved. He is a facilitator
Unselfish
first.
to a fault.
Yes.
But again, I think last night, again, was significant. He's making some statements on several levels. I'm going to wear Nikes tonight, Dad. And watch this. Watch this attack mode. Watch what I do here. And remember, he only made 3 out of 10 from 3 last night. He's a 41% three-point shooter in college, and he was shooting them from downtown. Just wait until he starts warming up. He's just in a cold streak right now.
He's working on it. And what better way to work on something than the actual game-type situation, Skip? But in order for him to be the type of player that you think he can be, in order for the Lakers to be the type of team that you think they can be, he can't have the mentality of a Mamba. Because he would be the exact...
I got it.
He'd be the exact same thing.
It's just one of those nights when he said, watch this. If I need to, if I want to, I can do this.
Because if he's going to try to get 30 points, he's D'Angelo Russell. He's just like a lot of these other...
you know he won't be like that.
He's just like a lot of these other point guards that would be a 2-guard masquerading.
Yeah.
I believe he can score in the teens. Where you believe he can be a double-digit rebounder guy, I believe eventually he will be a double-digit assist guy and be somewhere around 5 to 8 rebounds per game.
So he could have the classic Jason Kidd triple-doubles where you're scoring in the teens because Jason was like the other night. He had 11, 11, and 11. That's vintage Jason Kidd. And I covered Jason when he was an early Dallas Maverick right out of college, out of Cal. And I nicknamed him Asen because there was no J in Jason. And, this kid is a way better three-point shooter right now than Jason thought about being for his first 5 years in pro basketball. After a while,
he turned himself into a pretty good three.
And it takes hard work. Magic did the same thing, and Michael somewhat did the same thing from the three-point line. You can figure that out over time. This kid's already got it. Again, 41%, again, from the college three-point line, but he was always shooting them 3 or 4 feet behind the college three-point line.
Now, I will say this, Skip. I see more, and it's not like Jason Kidd, because Jason Kidd is going to be a Hall of Famer, but I see a game more along the lines of Jason Kidd as opposed to Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was Showtime. Magic Johnson is an all-time great. I can make a case he should be a Mount Rushmore player. But the King being there, Skip, I told you where we going. We going to the Riverwalk.
Oh, so we're already back to that?
Huh?
You on board now?
Yeah, we're going to the Riverwalk. I mean, but
wait,
look,
this just comes out of the blue?
No, because
you've conceded. You've already penciled in LeBron James as a Spur next year.
I told you he's leaving. But here's the thing, though, Skip. LeBron came to this. You know the ESPYs were going on last night. He already know he had done won the NBA's best player.
He did?
Yeah, he won it. You know he won it.
I didn't watch.
Oh, well, you said you didn't watch. And also, 2 of my favorites. One won NBA, the best NBA player, and the other, what did he win, Skip? Who won best NFL player, Skip? Skip, I will keep...
I'm going to have to bite my tongue on this. I know too much. I'll leave enough unsaid. I have no comment on both those things you just said.
It happened, Skip.
Yeah, well,
hey, so I'm just going...
why it happened
I'm just going to tell you, fans, votes matter. Get out there and vote, because you voted for those 2 guys.
Way to go.
And they won.
Pretty soon they're going to be voting for one Lonzo Ball as he lifts Laker Nation back into Western Conference prominence. But I've taken him to task on certain things, and I'm going to take him quietly to task, Lonzo, over what happened after the game. He did an interview on ESPN, a one-on-one interview, and he is so incredibly guarded still. I think because of his father has been so outrageously outspoken, it made the kid shrink in interviews because he's going to let the father do all that. He doesn't want to look like he's trying to compete with the father. But every answer was about 4 words long, and it's all monotone. It's right here, it's right here. You know, it's like, I can't remember any answer that he gave, but it's just so quiet. I know there's a personality in there. I know there's some magic in there. I said the other day, I would like to see a little more LeVar and Lonzo in interviews, because he's not only is he the face of the franchise, he's going to have to lead the basketball team into quote-unquote battle. And to do that, you need to let your personality. And LeVar has sat right here and said, it's in there. You guys he doesn't show it to you guys. We've seen those little clips that they posted at home when he's playing one-on-one out in the driveway with LaMelo. And the personality's coming out. We need to start seeing that. Again, he's just a kid.
It's going to take a while, Skip.
It's going to take a while, but I know it's in there, and he's got to trust it to start to come out. We saw a glimpse of it in the Foot Locker commercial that he did where he was sarcastic about his father.
Maybe he's a TV dinner, Skip. You just don't sit down and eat the TV dinner. You got to warm it up.
Got to warm it up?
Yeah, so let him warm up.
Okay, well, some just don't have it in them to be that guy and do that. But again, the players gravitate to him because he passes the sugar. That's what happens.
Exactly.
You know, they love that because they know they're going to get the basketball.
Now, if you and I having this same conversation in 2 years, talking about he needs to open up and he needs to show more of his personality,
okay,
I think you and I are going to be able to come to the same conclusion that that's just not who he is.
Okay, but people are already starting to underestimate him because he doesn't speak it enough. Like LeVar wants to speak it into existence. This kid never pats himself on the back, and so, you know, it's the flip side of, say, a Floyd Mayweather who's always right in your face with, I'm this and I'm that, and you got to do this. And after a while, you're like, yeah, okay, you did do that. You know, like he's reminding everyone constantly of just how great Floyd has been, and he has been all-time great.
Yes.
But Lonzo has potential all-time greatness because, once again, I was seeing last night, and this is subtle, but his speed is like Aaron Judge's power. It's effortless. I'm not saying he's in that category yet, but Aaron Judge, as we saw in the home run derby, it's just effort. It's just so easy. He just looked like he was taking batting practice.
Right.
Last night, again, against probably inferior talent, but Lonzo had such effortless acceleration and speed in the open court. It's awesome because he's a long strider and you can't see it.
Right.
It doesn't look that fast. Like De'Aaron Fox looks fast.
He does. He does.
It just looks like lightning up the floor. But I'm pretty sure Lonzo's right there with De'Aaron, if not even a little half step ahead of him because of the long strides and the effortlessness with which he hits top speed. And once he gets going, as Steve Alford used to say, he just plays downhill on everybody in the open court. And that's what I saw last night. He was just terrorizing Philly's defense because they couldn't stop him getting it to teammates, and then they could not stop him from just going right into the lane.
Where his father would like to speak it into existence, he would like to play it into existence.
You're correct.
And I think the thing is, Skip, for me is that the Summer League is that, as you mentioned, some of this talent is inferior. And a lot of people got down on him because they say, look, against inferior talent, game one, he looked terrible. And the same reasons, I'm not going to heap praise on him now. He played well. But what was he supposed to do, as you mentioned, supposed to do against inferior talent? Once they jump it up for real and they start counting, you get a feel of what this kid can do. And granted, it's going to take a while. Don't expect to open the night if he doesn't get a triple-double. See, I told you, he's terrible. Because you know that's how it is, Skip. If the guy doesn't get a triple-double.
Well, that's the pressure that's been put on him now.
Yeah.
Well, you know who put that pressure on him?
Game.
His dad.
Well,
Speaking of his dad, he texted ESPN early this morning about Lonzo's shoe choice and said Lonzo is not forced to wear any brands and can play in any shoe he wants as long as it's okay with the NBA. That's what being independent is all about. And he was asked if it had anything to do with negotiations with Nike, and LeVar said that there are no negotiations with Nike at this time. So he has weighed in on the shoe decision.
It's his own man. Made his own choice.
I want a refund.
Dude,
I want a refund, Skip, because
you got them?
Yeah, no, I haven't got them yet. I'm not gonna get them until November. I purchased those shoes under the impression that Lonzo Ball would be wearing those shoes, and I wanted to be like Low Ball.
Okay. Well, all I know is the King last night went back to his hotel room in Vegas thinking, that kid's pretty good.
You saw
That's what he thought.
You saw with the rose gold chain on with the lion's head?
I saw it.
We're going to San Antonio. We're taking our talents to San Antonio.
You know, it was interesting. DeJounte Murray, my young point guard, if I saw right, I think he was sitting right next to LeBron last. Maybe you're onto something. Yeah. Maybe there's a little, like, we're going to be a team together?
No, we are not going to be a team.
You came around so quickly.
Nope. If he goes to San Antonio, I'm out.
No mercy. If you're a NASCAR fan, there's a new podcast for you to subscribe to, Heritage Road, the podcast that drives you down memory lane, takes you under the hood, and gets you behind the wheel of America's favorite racing competition. They talk to the hardworking drivers, crewmen, and fans that make NASCAR possible then and now. From NASCAR royalty Bobby Allison to the broadcasters that brought you racing in homes around the country, they've got all the stories you've probably never heard before. Hosted by the voice of Texas Motor Speedway, Rich Phillips, brought to you by Busch, the beer that has supported racing since 1979. Subscribe to Heritage Road today for free wherever you listen to podcasts. No mercy. Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor continued their epic world tour yesterday in Toronto. They got in each other's faces, exchanged insults, and Floyd even grabbed an Irish flag to taunt Conor. Conor responded by taking Floyd's backpack. Take a listen to the war of words yesterday.
You're crazy if you think this man stands a chance. His head is too small.
They say I was too small. They say I run like a but 49-0.
Check the facts. I bounce shots off there. I bounce heads off the canvas.
And y'all got the nerves to believe in a fighter that like to quit.
He tip-tap-toes to a decision. He's never even fought a day in his life. He's a runner. He's boxing's biggest.
Yeah, I'm running into the bank.
On the count of 3, I want everyone in this arena to scream at the top of your lungs, the Mayweathers. 1, 2, 3. And while we're at it, showtime too. You little weasel. Look at you, you little weasel. I can see it in your eyes. You're a
Shannon, who won round 2?
I got to give it to Conor.
Do you?
I got to give it to Conor.
I can't believe it.
Skip, I had it as a 10-8 round, but I had to deduct a point, and we're going to get into it a little later because we got Dr. Michael Eric Dyson.
Yeah, we do.
He danced for me again, boy.
He did it.
So that was a low blow. I got to deduct a point. And we're also going to talk about the interesting dichotomy between Conor McGregor being Irish and white and Floyd Mayweather being American and being black. So we'll discuss that a little later.
Can't wait.
Conor is as good as it gets when it comes to trash talking. And I think that's why I gravitate towards him, and that's why I like him so much. Because I think the thing is, and he said it, Skip, the first time around, he didn't know what to expect. He thought he was just supposed to go up there, hey, Conor McGregor, y'all know me, y'all know my reputation. I'm coming to fight August 26th. I'm going to bust this young man up. Turn it over. But then Floyd comes out there. He's like, hold on. You mean to tell me I could have took as much time as I wanted to? I could have played to the crowd? I could have really, really talked trash? Oh, thanks for telling me. I will be ready next time around. And you can see he was ready to, Skip. I mean, he got some good with this, Skip. Conor McGregor got some, he was landing some haymakers. Woo! I was like, oh, Floyd, just make it out of this round. Floyd, make it out of this round. But let me tell you what Floyd needs to do. He need to call this phone and let Shannon Sharpe
material? You got material?
Yeah, man. Hire me as a consultant.
Really?
And I can tell him, because here's the thing. When you go second, you're always at an advantage when you're doing trash talking because you get an opportunity to hear what he's going to say. Skip, I don't care where I'm at. Anytime I go into any room, I'm already looking. I'm looking at your hair. I'm looking at what you're wearing. So if we have...
You're telling me?
Yeah.
Who would know better than I?
So if a Jonas session jump off, I'm going to be ready to go. They'll tell you in the bar, when I changed barbershop for the first time in about 20 years since I've been in Atlanta. And I walked into the barbershop because my barber moved barbershops. And I was all quiet, Skip, and I'm just observing everybody who likes to talk, who likes to say what they like to wear. After about 4 or 5 weeks, they're going to try to get on old Shan because they think Shan on TV, and I ain't good with these lips. But you know I'm the lip sparring champ, Joy. 500-0. So I was waiting for
500.
500 undisputed. That's where I got the name. That's where they got the name from.
Oh, it's about you.
Undisputed lip sparring champ.
You're the delusional champion of the world.
See, here's the thing. Okay, you know, Floyd, you know what your resume, what you do, you stay away from your weaknesses and you play to your strengths. You know they're going to talk about probably later your domestic violence with women. You beat up on women, you can't beat up on a man.
You went to jail for it.
Right. You know they're going to say you can't read.
Well, that came yesterday. Yeah.
You ready for that? And they're going to say you owe money. So here's the thing. When Conor McGregor says, Floyd, you know you can't read, Floyd should have said, you're right, I can't read, but I saw you tap out against Nate Diaz.
Well, he did that. He didn't do it in relation to reading. But,
and I say, I know tap out in any language. Boom, then got that one. They were like, everybody laughing back at you. Then he says, okay, Floyd says, I make money. Conor says, you owe money.
That's correct.
Floyd
He said, my nickname is money.
Money.
Yeah.
What Conor say? You owe money. Floyd said, you know what, Conor, you're right. I owe the IRS money, and I owe you an ass whipping. And both of y'all gonna get paid off on August 26th. Boom, got it. That's how you gotta do it.
I don't know if that...
You're gonna ghostwrite his trash
Yeah! You see the suit?
That was a little lame, I gotta tell you. That wasn't
look at the suit.
Yeah.
See, I'm looking at the suit, I'm saying, you know what, Conor? 5'9", 175 pounds, green eyes, organ donor. He go like, how you know I'm an organ donor? Them tight-ass pants, I'm reading your driver's license in your back pocket. See, Skip, there's a way to get it. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at what you say, what you got on, because
I don't think that would have bothered him a bit.
Oh, it would have.
Go ahead.
Look at that tight. Come on, Skip.
Come on.
Check his blood pressure without taking his jacket off.
Are you talking about tight suits?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, hold on.
You know, that suit looks good, I gotta say.
I mean, if he was 135 pounds, it looked good. It looked great. But at 106...
Man, it's ripped. Man, it's ripped. Floyd's looking at that suit, how it's tailored on him. He's thinking, I got to deal with this.
But I tell you what, Skip, the funniest part was when he grabbed Floyd's bag. And he said, this it? You got this big bag, and it's all the money you got?
$5 grand.
$5 grand. You got this big old... You could have put that in your front pocket. I got to give it to him. I had it at 10-8, but I had to take a point for the low blow, Skip. So we going back to New York, and we tied.
Tied.
1-1.
You got your ass whooped twice. So here's my biggest takeaway yesterday. I felt a little sorry for Floyd because that was a knockout. Floyd has not knocked anybody out since 1999, but he got knocked out in a press conference yesterday.
He hit after the bell.
Flat out KO. And all he could do was flail because he did go second. And you're right, you need to write him some better stuff. Because Conor McGregor was on fire. And he was so good that even Floyd, even when he tried to flail and respond, after a while, he just couldn't help himself. And at one point he said, I like you. Because he does. And I think you're starting to like him too.
I always like this trash talking, but let me tell you the hardest thing, Skip, about trash talking. It's hard when you're trying to trash talk someone and you don't get the response that the guy that went first got. So it gets harder. You want someone, like when you say something, you want them to acknowledge when you got off a good blow. And people, even if when Floyd was doing something, he had a few good lines. The crowd wasn't acknowledging him like they had acknowledged Conor. So it gets very difficult.
I tried to warn both of you, you and Floyd, the A side is Conor McGregor. The man who is globally far more popular is Conor McGregor. The man whose fans have taken over Staples and now in Toronto, Conor McGregor. And they took it over yesterday even bigger than they did at Staples. It was all Conor all the time yesterday, and it wasn't a fair fight. You're right. He had the whole crowd on his side. So here's what happened yesterday, and you alluded to it. For once, Conor McGregor prepared for the format. He got blindsided at Staples by a Showtime production in which he was not advised, you're going first, but you're going to go solo microphone.
Right.
It's you to start the press conference, and you can have as long as you want. And he's up there like, what else should I say? You know, he's trying to make it up on the fly. And then when he sat down on a stool with the mic in his hand, wanting to respond, his mic had been turned off, he says, by Showtime. I don't know who made that call, but he was furious about it, and he was prepared. Now, to the issue of low blows. I think he let Floyd set the ground rules in press conference number 1 at Staples. And Floyd really broke those ground rules early on because I was surprised by this one. Floyd, early on at Staples, turned to Conor and said, I'm going to knock this B out.
Right.
And when he went B, I was like, whoa, you called him a B? Yeah. I thought that was a little out of bounds. I didn't think they were going to go quite there that quickly, but Floyd went there. And I could see in Conor's face, he's thinking, oh, so there are no rules. So yesterday, he came in, all bets off, all is fair in love and press conferences, and he went for the throat. And I must admit, when he went to, what was the stuff about, he's saying, he looks like a 12-year-old break dancer, a little B. You're 40 years of age. Dress your effing age. What are you doing with a school bag? It's a backpack.
Backpack, yeah.
You know? You can't even read. Even for this setting, I flinched at that one. I thought that was a low blow. I thought that was, ugh. Huh?
Get it.
Can't even read?
Get it.
I just didn't love it. It's just like, I don't know. I'm a little uncomfortable, and I was a whole lot uncomfortable with Dance Boy.
Yes.
He went there in press conference number 1 and caught himself and changed it to son. But after Floyd set the rules or broke the rules in press conference number 1, I think Conor said, I'm not going to stop this time.
No, Skip, I think what happened is that even when he caught himself, I can assure you someone told him, in America, you can't call an African-American a boy. Floyd says, hold on. So you mean they will get upset if I do this? He's going to continue it. Because guess what, Skip? We got to fight anyway. So what are you going to do, fight?
I agree. And the more they can hype and sell the black-white thing, I'm sure it works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, Skip, is that you play. Skip, I learned at a very young age. For me, I'm from rural South Georgia, and I still have a very heavy Southern dialect. Now, I've gone and worked on it and tried to get a lot of it removed, but hey, I'm 49 years of age now. But Skip, in the 3rd grade, we had to go, like 5 or 6 of us had to go to speech class. And everybody would make fun of the way I dressed and the way I talked. But in speech class, the teacher told us, like, when a person gets to a word, you don't tell them what it is, you let them sound it out.
Yep.
And I was like, okay. So we're reading it. A guy was reading in class today. His name was Johnny. I'm not going to give his last name because I don't know if he's still alive, but I don't want to embarrass him. But he was reading, and I knew the word, and the teacher was like, Johnny, it sounds like, Johnny, it sounds like. I said, it sounds like Johnny can't read. Well, the rest of the kids started laughing. She put me out of class, and it dawned on me. I can stop them from laughing at me if I just pointed at someone else.
Yep.
From that point on, Skip, my whole focus shifted. I go to class, I'm looking at somebody else's shoes. I'm looking at the holes in there. So if you get on me, if somebody would get on me, I'm going to start talking about Joy, and now me and Skip, and I was like, Joy, he killing you, Joy. Joy, he killing you, telling you. That's how you have to do it. When you go second, you have a decided advantage because you've already heard his material. So now you have to be able to take some of the things that he used against you and flip it and give it on him.
Yep.
Clearly, this is not Floyd's expertise. Now, can he trash talk a little bit? Yeah. But once he gets past the money side of it, he's kind of out of his element, Skip. See, Conor McGregor grew up poor, dirt poor. You mentioned like 3 years ago he was cashing food.
2013, he was cashing those
food
welfare checks.
Welfare checks.
Yep.
So he's been picked on. That's why he got in MMA. He got tired of getting bullied. He's been picked on basically his whole life for not having. So he grew up fighting, and he grew up having to find a way. How do I get people? I can't fight everybody. How can I get people to not pick on me, to like me, but I can get them to laugh and pick on someone else? And he's got very, very good at it. And either you can get good at it, Skip. But the guys the really great comedians, they've been funny their whole life. And that's why comedians, like when they get a heckler, that's why because they have already heard what you said. So now they get to come back with their retort. And the person that laughs last laughs loudest.
That's
correct. Why you should have an advantage. But Floyd, call your boy. Because all this stuff I be saying, Skip, I don't have writers. I don't have anybody write material for me. I just go home and write my own stuff.
I think you need a writer on this show.
No. No, me and Steve Owens got this.
Steve Owens? The
yeah,
Heisman
me
winner?
and Steve Owens got, hey, we be stiff-arming you.
But he's doing this?
Stop it, Skip Bayless. No.
Puppet master.
Floyd is clearly outmatched.
Last quick point.
Trash talking department here.
Floyd got backed into a corner 2 days ago, and he blurts out, I'll go with 4-ounce gloves. And you said, no. But he did say it.
Yes, he did.
And then yesterday he tried to back Conor into a corner. He said, I dare you to bet your fight check on this. Bet it. But now Conor should turn the tables and say, I'll bet mine if you bet yours. Wouldn't that be something if they each bet their take from the fight against each other?
Skip.
So it's like a winner take every dollar.
How
about that?
You got to put a man to the test.
Whew.
Alfred Williams, he's a defensive lineman, and they called me in Atlanta. Man, Alfred out running the linebackers and the tight ends. He's calling you out. I ain't respond. I said, oh, good, okay. We during the regular season, I ain't say nothing, Skip. I put my shoes on, had my tights on. We had got paid. I know what he makes. He know what I make. I said, Plate, come on out here. I put my check down at the line. I said, put your check down there. We're running 40 right now. I'm willing to put a man to the test.
Okay, well, this is a put. I want to see this.
Put it to the test.
Because I don't think Floyd can take that risk and that bet because he needs this money.
I mean, you know, that was a lot of money for me, Skip, but you talking about three.
Did you do it?
Huh?
Did you do it?
No. All of a sudden, you know, I don't want to pull no ham, you know, because I sure was going to cash that check.
Well, outside from Floyd not fighting for 2 years, he also hasn't had to talk trash on this level maybe ever. And he hasn't really in the past 2 years
Because most of his opponents have been a little in awe of him.
Right.
Seriously.
Right. Yeah.
Have had like a fear of him.
Right, and Connor has no fear. No mercy. All right, let's talk some hoops. The Knicks and the Rockets are working on a trade to send Carmelo Anthony to Houston. ESPN reports it could take up to 4 teams to get the deal done. Carmelo is reportedly willing to waive his no-trade clause to play for either the Rockets or Cavs. Shannon, is Melo a good fit in Houston?
No. And I heard someone say the ball's at the 2-yard line. Seattle had the ball on the half-yard line. Ask them how that worked out.
That was all about Tom Brady. But
whatever.
Yeah.
Skip, it's just hard for me to believe 3 ball-dominant players can be successful on the same team.
Yep.
Skip, I love ice cream. I love cake. I love gravy. I just don't want all 3 of them together. You know what I'm saying? Here, I like Chris Paul over there. I like James Harden over there. I like Melo over there. And I know what everybody's saying. Man, you saw how Melo played in the Olympics? That was 8 games. Now you got to multiply that by 10. Yeah. And he's playing with 2 other. You've never seen James Harden, and I'm talking about this James Harden. I'm not talking about the one that played the first 3 or 4 years at OKC. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about that one that we see on the screen. Chris Paul has never had to play off the ball. He's always had the ball in his hand. And Carmelo has always had the ball in his hand, for the most part. Now, when Chauncey was there and they went to the Western Conference Finals and they lost to the Lakers, that was a little different. Chauncey had the ball, but Chauncey was a Finals MVP, so he had that kind of cachet.
Yep.
Skip, for me, I just don't get it how they think this can work. And for Carmelo, it was reported that he went to the New York bosses. It says it's either him, me and Mike D'Antoni, or me. Mike D'Antoni got wind of that, says, I want no part of this. He resigns. Mike D'Antoni then goes to Houston. Melo is still in New York. Now, all of a sudden, the guy that Melo says is either him or me, I don't like this system, I can't play in this system, he wants to go play for him. Skip, and I use the analogy, it's like being married to a person. You get a divorce, and you're like, okay, yeah, you know what, we're better friends, we can get back together. And you get married again. And then halfway through it, Skip, like month 3, month 4, you realize, like, you know what? There's a reason why I divorced you, but to begin with. And that's what's going to happen to Carmelo. I understand he wants to win a championship, but let me tell you what you got. I'm going to put it in terms that women can love. You have 3 Victoria's Secret models. And every year when they have the Victoria's Secret runway show, Skip, they have this specially designed bra. Cost $3 million. Got rubies and emeralds and diamonds. Only one can wear it. Giselle, Alexandria Ambrosia, or Adriana Lima. They ain't making 3 of them. They only got 1. They're not going to have 3 balls, Skip. They're only going to have 1.
How much Google research you
I
have
don't
to
need
do
no
on that
Google
one?
rule. I know them, Skip.
God.
I know I be watching it.
Huh? You memorized all their names.
I know Carly Close, too. I know them all, Skip. Marissa Miller, I know them all.
How do you know
I be
them all?
watching.
And
I be
why
watching.
Why do you know them all?
I be watching this. Chantel Iman, too.
Okay. Wow.
I know them.
You've made that clear, yes.
Yes.
Oh, my bad, Skip. Skip. I get it. Everybody's trying to load up in the Western Conference to do what, Skip? Take down the mighty Warriors. I get it. But the one thing that the Warriors have that nobody else does is they don't really have anybody that's ball dominant. Everybody can play without the ball. That's what makes them so successful. Now, and plus you got a guy in Kevin Durant. You remember Game 5, and Skip, I'm going to turn it over to you. When every time Cleveland made a run, Steph didn't take a shot, Clay didn't take a shot, Draymond didn't take a shot. They had that 6'11" guy with that over 7-foot wingspan. Said, "Come see me down here."
That is correct.
And every run they tried to make, the Cavs tried to make, Durant stomped it out.
Yeah, best player on the planet.
He's second best, but anyway, this is not going to work.
I know Daryl Morey a little bit. I like Daryl Morey a lot. He's a smart guy and he's a funny guy, but he is becoming infamous for throwing superstars against the locker room wall and hoping they stick together.
Yes.
And he tried Dwight Howard with James, and it just didn't work. And now he's desperate to try to overcome Golden State, and he's trying to pull off something that I'm going to be really surprised if he can pull this off through a 4-way deal, because if the Knicks truly want some young value back, I just don't see how they're going to get it back. And
not from Houston.
Not from Houston, because the only trade piece that I see is Ryan Anderson, who makes $61 million more over the next 3 years. Why would the Knicks take that on? Where's that going to get the Knicks? Because I'm not sure where it even got the Rockets.
Skip, you're going to trade Ryan Anderson for Carmelo Anthony, a guy that doesn't score as well as Carmelo and plays worse defense than Melo.
He is a liability, and he can be a liability from 3, because as we saw against my Spurs, he will have nights where he will go ice cold, and he'll have nights where he'll go nuts, good nuts. But again, can you is that $61 million?
No one can't trust that.
No, you can't. So I told you from the start, if this is best case scenario, dream world, dream sequence, if the Knicks would just buy out Carmelo and say, "Thank you very much, you're gone, you can go wherever you want," then he should go to Cleveland, because he would fit with LeBron.
Yes.
Because LeBron, he admires him. You know, he would, they're so close that he would listen to him, and he could come in and play a role for that team. Again, if you don't have to give up anything for him, if you can keep your big 3 together and bring in one, I still think it would work. It would make them better.
$52 million it's probably going to cost you about $50 million to buy him out. Skip, the thing is, Carmelo views himself on the same level as these guys. He knows he's not on LeBron's level because LeBron has 4 MVPs. LeBron has 3 finals wins. He's gone to 8. So he knows.
Yeah.
Skip, Melo is a 12-time All-Star.
Yeah.
He's actually been farther in the playoffs, other than James Harden, before James Harden became the James Harden we know, than any of these guys. Chris Paul has never been to the Western Conference Finals. So Chris Paul can't say, "Well, Melo, this is what you need to do." How do you get to tell me what I need to do?
That's a fact. Thank you for saying that. So now we have a James Harden that you pushed all last year for MVP, and it was close. It was a battle, night after night battle. And James Harden became the center of Mike D'Antoni's 7 seconds or less shooting universe, right?
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you're telling him he had the 2nd highest usage rate in the NBA, just barely to, obviously, Russell Westbrook. And now you're telling him Chris Paul's going to run the point, and a bunch of your shots are going to get taken by Carmelo Anthony? You want to talk about a demotion? Yeah. You would go from the happiest player on the planet to, seriously, the unhappiest player on the planet, because you went from MVP candidate, near-miss MVP. A couple of years ago, the players did vote James Harden the MVP. Yes. You're going from that to just some other cog in the 3-point shooting system? Really? It would be nightmarish, because James Harden can make waves. When he decides to make waves, he will speak out and up. And in this case, he would be miserable quickly.
And think about what you're going to have to give up. Houston, you just gave up the bulk of your depth just to get CP3. Yeah. You're going to have to give up more. I assume you'd have
to give up more, but I don't know how it would all
And Carmelo should know firsthand, because when he went from the Nuggets to the Knicks, they had to give up everything, and guess what? He was in a worse situation in New York than he was in Denver. And I forgot to mention the last one that wore the wings, Cannon Swanepoel.
Well, bottom line, if in fact LeBron James is going to the Riverwalk next year,
you hope
my Spurs, I'm not hoping. You're telling me it's happening. You're convinced of it. If that's true, if it's one last hurrah in Cleveland this year, you know what they should do? I'm serious about this.
No.
They should trade Kevin Love straight up for Carmelo. Because I'm pretty sure the Knicks would do that deal.
Yeah, I'm sure they would too.
Well, but why, you don't love Kevin Love.
But why would the Cavs trade a guy that's 4 years older whose knees are worse than Kevin Love's back?
Because LeBron's going to be gone. You already told me.
Don't worry about that.
So maximize your shot this year. I promise you, Golden State would look across the floor at Melo and LeBron and Kyrie with more fear than they would Kevin Love and Kyrie.
Well, they're going to buy him out, and they're going to look across the floor and see Melo, Love,
They're not
Kyrie.
going to buy him out. They're not gonna buy him out.
And you know, and guess what? You know why LeBron's going to leave, Skip?
Yeah.
That way we'll suppress the value of the Cavs, and we're going to come back and buy it out from under Dan Gilbert. That's how we do, baby.
That's the plan.
Yeah. Drive his value down, come in, scoop it up, it increases.
That's going to be such a good show when LeBron is in San Antonio.
You know, and our show will be there a lot because they're going to be in the finals a lot.
Jimmy in here all sad.
I'm off.
You're off that, man?
You're sick that day.
Find me a new guy.
No mercy. Forbes magazine listed the Cowboys as the most valuable sports franchise in the world for the second straight year. Dallas is worth just over $4 billion. The Yankees came in second at $3.7 billion. Shannon, are you surprised by this?
I'm a little surprised, Skip, because I thought it would be the Yankees, especially for North American franchises. Now, we get the Soccers, the Real Madrid, the Man U's, and the FC Barcelona. We get those, Skip, because football, soccer, as we call it here in America, it is really a global sport.
Yep.
They play it on every continent. So I can get, you know, Man U and Real Madrid and FC Barcelona being up there.
Yep.
But when it comes to North America, the Yankees, Skip, the pinstripe suit is famous because of the Yankees. You don't see somebody say, hey, let me get a cowboy suit, but you hear somebody say, let me get a pinstripe. It's for the Yankees. And their storied history.
I got you.
27-5.
Yeah.
They've won as many championships in the last 20 years than the Cowboys have won in their entirety.
New York City versus Dallas, Texas.
Exactly.
Okay.
And when you think of Babe, when someone would say 714, you knew that was how many home runs Babe Ruth had hit. If I tell you 18,275, you don't know that's how many yards Emmitt Smith rushed for. And you got Babe, Garrick, DiMaggio, Mantle, Ford, Berra. Ain't got nobody go by one name of the Cowboys. So I'm shocked. But the one thing we can both agree on, Skip, that man right there, that's our Floyd Sr., you know, Floyd was. But we talking to Jerry Jones. That guy know how to make money. As a matter of fact, he
also knows how to create stories.
Yes.
Right?
He says he's in the entertainment business.
He does.
But I don't know if they still have it, but I think they used to have a mint in Dallas because he knows how to print money, Skip.
He does.
He knows. He's carved out a niche. And think about it, Skip. If you play baseball, where do you want to play? You want to play in Wrigley Field, you want to play in Fenway Park, and you want to play in Yankee Stadium. When you think football, you're not thinking about Lambeau Field, Soldier Field.
Yep.
Jerry's World. Really? That's what I don't get. But you know what, Skip? I get it. You know, last year they got two rookies that burst on the scene, and you know we got a new triplets here. We got an offensive line to match that offensive line that we had in the '90s. And Dak is Troy, and Zeke is Emmett, and Dez is Michael Irvin, and Whitney is Novacek. I get all that, Skip, but it's just hard for me to believe, and especially because the Yankees they have the Yes Network, so they actually show all their games, and they got Yankee Stadium in with the storied history. I am a little surprised, but them Cowboys, I don't know what it is. I think people just because they just like to hate them. And I think
wait a minute, the Cowboys have their own network, Fox.
Yeah, I believe
NFL on Fox, it's the Cowboys on Fox.
I think the thing is, I think what they're doing, they're confusing love with hate. And because the people hate the Cowboys so much, and they're just buying jerseys just to put Cowboys suck on them. But they don't understand that even when you buy the shirt and you put Cowboys suck, Jerry still gets paid, and it makes them even more popular.
Joy, he shook up over this.
Yeah.
$4.2 billion are the Dallas Cowboys worth. The most expensive team, the most valuable team in all of sports.
Not just North America, the world.
The world. Above all those big soccer franchises that used to be above them on the list. Wow. Allow me to explain this to you. I lived in Dallas. I covered the Cowboys for whatever it was, 16 years. And for years that I've been on television, wherever I go, somebody says to me, you know, you guys talk too much Cowboys. No, we don't. because day after day after day, the Dallas Cowboys provide us with the most interesting topics. Even you believe that because you want to hate on them, but that's fine with me, but you're interested in the topic.
Yes.
We're doing 2 Dallas Cowboy topics today. Well, I don't even know what the date is, July, whatever. Training
13th.
camp has...
13th.
13th, so camps are still another...
At least 10 days.
And we're doing 2 topics on the Cowboys, and I cannot wait for the second topic because I am going to go off on D'Angelo Williams for what he said about my Dallas Cowboys. But that's just me. What happens is that consistently, day after day, they are the most entertaining and debatable team in all of sports because it's on and off the field, for better and for worse. It seems like a day can't go by without another one of my Cowboys getting in trouble and getting suspended or getting busted by the law for something. And every time that man opens his mouth, is it not a story? Does he not make news with something he says, for better or for worse?
Yep.
And in the end, you hate him, I love him, but everybody has an opinion about the Cowboys. Everybody doesn't have an opinion about the Packers or the Falcons or the Seahawks or even the New England Patriots. Not everybody has an opinion about them. But everybody has something to say about the Cowboys, love or hate. And for years and years, they have consistently been the greatest show on the NFL's earth based in Dallas, Texas. They're not in New York. They're not in L.A. They're not even in the third market in Chicago. And by the way, I know Dallas, Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth. You realize that market didn't even have a Major League Baseball team until 1972, did not have an NBA team until 1980. The Cowboys were born in only 1960. So this isn't some cornerstone NFL franchise in some pro sports town, right?
It's like you said, they're not the Packers or the Bears or even Washington.
I mean, pre-1960 or 72, that was a minor league town, Dallas, Texas. So what happened? It's this dynamic of they're the most entertaining team on and off the field. So what happened to me? I wrote my first Cowboy book, and I said, this is it, first and last Cowboy book. The rise and the fall of the great Tom Landry, who had just been fired by that guy, that outsider, that interloper, that outrageous Jerry Jones had walked in the door and said, you're fired, and I'm bringing my buddy from the University of Miami, Jimmy Johnson, to coach the Dallas Cowboys. And right away, I realized, wait a second, Jimmy doesn't even like Jerry. He just took the job because he wanted a pro football. He wanted a Dallas Cowboy job, but they're going to fall apart. And after 2 Super Bowls, he fired Jimmy Johnson. And I'm writing book number 2, and I didn't want to write book number 2. And he hired, to replace him, Barry Switzer, who'd been out of football for 2 years, disgraced at the University of Oklahoma, and fired. And the book number 3 is writing me. You know, like I didn't write it, it just wrote me. I couldn't stop it. It's the Dallas Cowboys, and they just keep on keeping on, and all that adds up to $4.2 billion in entertainment value. That's what it is.
But Skip, when you look at it, if you look at, let's look at Real Madrid. They got Ronaldo. He's the most popular athlete to walk the planet. And then you go to FC Barcelona. They have Messi. They have Suarez. They have Neymar. They probably have 3 of the top 10.
They do.
On one team.
I agree.
And then Manchester United, we know what they represent in football. I can't believe I'm saying that. But they don't got anybody that goes by one name. If you take them to Europe, I guarantee you won't nobody know who Dak and Zeke are. But take.
I don't know. London, they know. They love pro football in London.
Take Ronaldo. Take Neymar. Take Lionel Messi.
I got it.
Boy, Jerry.
He did it.
I tell you what. As part at the Hall of Fame, that thing gonna be off the chain.
I agree.
I'm gonna be right. Skip, you going? Come on, you ought to go. Skip, that's your boy. That's your boy.
I'm thinking about it.
But
I want to remain objective. He's not really my boy.
You're not objective.
I was.
You love the Cowboys.
Read those books and tell me they're not objective.
He owned the Cowboys. You love the Cowboys. So you
Jerry
love him.
is the star. They don't call it Jerry's World for nothing. No mercy. D'Angelo Williams is a free agent, but he has listed 4 NFL teams that he will not play for this year. One of those teams is the Cowboys. Williams said he grew up a 49ers fan and hated Dallas. He then called out Cowboys fans. Let's take a listen.
I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 1983, and the 49ers ruled the 80s. The Cowboys somewhat did something in the 90s. I even refuse to give them that as a Niners fan. And it's just now I'm always loyal to the team that signed my checks. The Cowboys, they win. They don't ever show up during the playoff stuff. Like, they always disappear in the playoffs. Like, I got a great depiction of the Cowboys fan base during the regular season last year. They were on cloud nine. You couldn't tell them anything, because they were going to win the ship. That's all they said. Like, fans just got extremely super annoying. And then the minute they lose, they either got cheated, somebody was hurt, like the excuses start flowing. It's just amazing to me, just that fan base, just in general. They can't handle defeat. I mean, still to this day, they say the Des Bryant catch against the Green Bay Packers was a catch.
We're joined now by Rob Parker. Welcome, Rob.
What's happening? Before we get there, I want to say down in Miami, I ran into a lot of people who are Undisputed fans, and they stopped me, and they said, is Joy as pretty as she looks on television? I said, even prettier.
Oh, did you?
They asked me about you, Skip. How do you stay in great shape? And I said, he works hard at it. And then they said, when is Shannon going to pay you that steak dinner?
Now I know that story was not true at all. Yeah, it's building up to something.
Yeah.
Skip, let me start with you. What's your reaction to D'Angelo Williams?
Yeah, Skip, what's your reaction?
Uh-oh, here we go.
I wish I had a seat belt over here, 'cause I would have to put it on to strap in for this. I have met D'Angelo Williams before, and I must admit, I liked him.
Hold on, you used ED.
You said past tense?
You used ED, Skip.
He is now off my list.
Wow.
What he said deeply offended me because it deeply insulted me. So let me get this straight. You've eliminated the Dallas Cowboys as a free agent destination? No, they eliminated you a long, long time ago because they have zero interest in you right now, because my Dallas Cowboys have the deepest and best depth at running back of any NFL team, starting with Zeke the Freak, Ezekiel Elliott. Can anybody argue with that? And how about Darren McFadden as his backup? And how about Alfred Morris, who had his moments last year as the third running back on the depth chart? D'Angelo Williams, give me a break. And then I get it, he grew up a 49er fan, but to say that my Cowboys somewhat did something in the 90s? No, all they did was they should have won 4 straight Super Bowls if Jerry hadn't fired Jimmy after the first 2.
But they didn't win 4 Super Bowls.
But they should have, and they should have won it. Emmett pulled his hamstring and candlestick before the NFC Championship game.
Those are the excuses he's talking about.
But it's not an excuse, because, listen.
They still won 3, though, Skip.
They won 3, and they should have won 4.
Except the 3.
And then I will give any of you this. If you want to rip me for how often the Cowboys missed the playoffs after they won that Super Bowl off the 1995 season, which was they've missed the playoffs 12 times in 21 years since that Super Bowl, you got me. Fire away. I'll take it, because I can't argue with that. But when you say, what are these quotes? That they don't ever show up during the playoffs. They always disappear in the playoffs. What? 2 years ago, they beat the Detroit Lions. No big deal, but they did beat them at home.
The Lions haven't won a playoff game since 1951.
But they won. They won when they hadn't been in the playoffs forever, blah, blah, blah. And then they went to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, and they won up there, too.
They robbed.
They got robbed.
They did not win. They didn't win.
That's what he's talking about.
That's exactly what he's talking about.
No,
Skip said they
I'm
won.
talking about that was a catch.
No, it wasn't.
You know it was a catch. Chris Carter once upon a time admitted it was a catch. Then he turned tail and started saying, oh, I was with Shannon on this. It was a catch. He caught it and ran with it and then tried to slam it on the goal line, and they took it away. We would have won that game at Lambeau Field and advanced to the NFC Championship game out of Seattle, where we had already won a regular season game. And then last year at Jerry World, if not for the 2 luckiest field goals I have ever seen by Mason Crossbar.
What?
Mason Crossbar, he makes 2 cross-country field goals, the second of which he duck hooks left, And somehow it suddenly rights itself and hooks, you know, sort of moves back, fades back to the right, and makes it just inside the left upright. It's impossible.
But you know how that,
it's the hand.
happened?
It's the hand of God doing that.
No, it scraped the moon, and that's why it went.
Oh, did it?
You know what, Rob? He wasn't talking about Cowboys fans. He was talking about Skip.
Yeah.
You're the one he's talking about.
But you know I'm right about both of those things. Two luckiest field goals I have ever witnessed in a playoff game.
Skip, he did not say anything that's unique to the Cowboys. Everybody's fan base is like this. Now, and maybe if we had this back in the 90s when I was playing in the early 2000s, we would see just how annoying some fans are. And we all think the Cowboys and the Patriots and teams, and everybody thinks their team has been winning since their inception. The Cowboys are no different. Everybody forget that the Patriots came into existence in 1968, and everybody think they started winning from day one. But I remember the time when I first got into the league, coaches would say, boy, son, if you don't straighten up, I'm gonna trade you to New England.
Right, they were so bad.
They were so bad. No, Indy. Everybody all fan bases think they're fans.
Okay, but I believe this, and you can scoff if you want, but I believe Cowboy fans love their Cowboys more than any other fandom loves their team. It's like crazy, irrational.
Have you heard New England? New England think they should have won the last 15 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But D'Angelo, hold on. When did he become Emmitt Smith?
I don't know.
When did he think he's the most sought after running back to ever hit free agency? Skip, you know what this is? This is a 64-year-old banker that says, you know what? He just got fired from one job. He says, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan.
I'm not coming.
They're off my list.
And by the way, he's 34, which is the equivalent of 64 in running back years.
1 year from retirement age.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you're going to take
That's
four
right.
possible suitors off the...
What?
Does he, first of all, does he know how ridiculous he sounds? Even if he can't hear himself, just go look in the mirror and utter those words that you just said. You're looking for a job and 4 teams I'm unwilling to play for.
Right.
Even if you can't hear yourself, when you see your lips move and realize what you said, you'll realize how ridiculous and how foolish you sound.
And not only to the 4 teams, but to everybody else. Like you're saying, why are you eliminating a potential place to have a job? But I will say this. On the Cowboy fan thing, I think he hit the jackpot. He left out obnoxious, though. You know, he left out, he said annoying. Yeah. But the Cowboys, Skip, just like you just presented, the whole act, you were right on cue. It wasn't that.
No, it's not an act.
Cowboys act. I'm just saying that.
I thought he had high blood pressure. There's some sausages.
We had to do
He's
something.
holding his head like, oh my goodness.
Because that's what Cowboys do. It's always living in the past. It's been a long time since they won a Super Bowl.
Long time.
Oh, a long time. You know what, Skip? The last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl, you were still using a typewriter to cover the games.
That's not true, but it's a funny line. I'll give you that.
You like that?
But I told you, you can rip me all you want for that. Keep on going.
Okay.
What other jokes do you have written down? You know what? Maybe Floyd should call Rob.
Right? I'm like the next Shecky Green.
But Skip, he didn't lie. I mean, you still talking about, guess what? You're talking about the Daz catch that happened 3-4 years ago. And guess what?
Two seasons ago.
In 2025, guess what you're going to be talking about? The hand of God.
It was the hand of God. Have you ever seen anything like it?
Yes.
You duck hook a field goal left, it stays duck hooked. It doesn't start to fade back to the right. I've never, when it happened, I looked at it, I said, that's surreal. It's impossible. There's some reason it's like,
okay. What about,
thank you, God.
Okay, well, what year was that? Was that 73 or 74? The Hail Mary against Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah, it was at Minnesota.
Yeah.
So Pearson on Nate Wright.
Yeah.
What about that?
Yeah.
That shouldn't have happened either, right?
Think about it.
That was the hand of Drew.
Yeah, no. Think about it. They coined it. That was the first time the term Hail Mary had been used. Y'all coined the phrase, Skip.
Roger coined it. He's Catholic, good Catholic.
Okay, then. So God smiled on y'all.
You want to get credit for that?
Huh?
Roger?
Yeah, Roger Staubach, yeah.
So you've had your moment, Skip. You had a situation where you had the Hail Mary. Look, I get it. The Broncos fans think, hey, if they win, we the best. If we lose something, everybody off. You don't think Jacksonville? They come from me. Oh, we beat y'all in '96. We beat y'all. Is that what you want to do, claim to fame? You've been existing for 20 years.
That's what fans do, and we
Yes.
get it. But the Cowboy fans, and I know plenty of them, Skip, they are obnoxious,
They're everywhere.
annoying,
They're
and
everywhere.
they believe the Cowboys are the best, and
Yeah.
they always got jobbed, or they ran out of time, or something bad happened
Yeah.
because it was the Cowboys.
Did they not get robbed?
No.
That was not a catch. No
It was a
catch.
catch.
And
No
I
catch.
don't know who's the biggest fan. The guy, the barbershop I go to, Carl Booker, who owns it.
See?
He's and the first thing he said, how many Super Bowls your team got? When's the last time you got one?
See, there's a man in Atlanta, GA,
Yeah, he a
who's
hater.
a Dallas Cowboy
He a
fan. How do
hater,
you
too.
figure that
He a
out?
hater.
Well, you know what?
He's
No,
from Mississippi.
But that's easy.
Every security guard on the Fox lot is a Dallas Cowboy fan. We are in West Los Angeles, and our man Derek downstairs in the first thing in the morning. It's the first thing I hear every morning when I get out of the elevator. Derek is, how about them Cowboys?
Skip, they haven't had a football team here in 25 years. Of course there are other fans. They had to pick another team.
Skip, first of all, Carl is from Mississippi. They didn't even have TV, so how he became a Cowboy fan
You're
is
ripping
unbeknownst
Carl.
to me. Yeah, I'm ripping you, Carl, because I know he's watching. I bet you, I give him 10 minutes, he's going to call.
That's why they're the wealthiest team in all of sports.
$4.2 billion,
They're
Rob.
not better than the Yankees. Stop.
Thank you,
They
Rob.
are not-
Thank you.
They're
Not better
bigger.
than
It's
the
not,
Yankees.
these
Better.
are
They're
facts.
just more valuable.
No, they're not
valuable.
more valuable
Yes, they
than the
are.
Yankees. It's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous list. I'm going to go cancel my
It's not
subscription to
opinion.
Forbes.
Boy, it's been a
It's
long
not like
time.
based on their feelings.
It's been a long time since the Yankees dominated, right?
Wait a minute, y'all dominated.
What,
They
2000?
won,
I said it.
What? They won 5.
they won 5 since they won 1.
This is very odd. This is an odd message from
Yeah.
an odd messenger, though, saying he's not going to play for
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Browns, the Jags, the Panthers, or the Cowboys.
He make it seem like he forgot. He's D'Angelo. He's not Le'Veon.
Well, even if you feel that way, you
Yes.
can say it.
No mercy.
Kind of weird to hear a free agent talking about teams they don't want to play for. Thanks for checking out the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We'll be back here tomorrow at the same time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Have a good day.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.